Man, I love playing games online. It's like experiencing a whole new world. Wait, a pretty girl character wants to play with me? Surely they're just as cute on the other side. Er, right? Right? They couldn't possibly be a guy. Imagine quitting your office job you've been at for the last 11 years. You've been fed up from being overworked and decided to throw it all away and rot max. To pass the time, you cope with your inadequacies by playing MMOs, trying to immerse yourself in another world, be a different person. So, you create a character with the opposite gender of yourself. Then one day, a pretty girl character decides to be your support. And playing together every day now, your feelings grow, and you both confide in each other emotionally. However, things take a twist when you meet them in person, and neither of you were who you said you were. This is the fun, drama-filled e-love story of recovery of an MMO junkie. So let's log into the game and watch the story unfold. Walking at home that night, 30-year-old Moriko Morioka carried her farewell white roses home, having finally quit her job after 11 years. She quickly tossed the flowers into her trash bin and let down her hair before crashing face first onto her bed, resting for the night. She woke up, frantic to her 7 a.m. alarm, breathing a sigh of relief turning it off. Right, she was unemployed now. After cleaning her room, she booted up her PC, but was disappointed to find the MMO she used to love playing was no longer in service. She thought back to the fond memories of that game she last played over 6 months ago, but still determined to have an MMO experience, she decided to look for recommendations on Google, coming upon Fruits de Mer, a game with cute and pretty art. Having created her character, she gave a look of pride, having completed what she called a hot guy character under the username Hayashi. However, she began to regret it because it's a pretty common name for a Japanese male. Receiving her first quest, she decided to get on it, fighting the first boss, a giant rat monster using only a stick. Mori went for her first attack, only to find her character in heaven after one strike from the boss. And this happened again and again. She was losing it, feeling the game was much more difficult than the last MMO she played. Then seeing her first message request, Mori saw a beautiful angel standing before her, under the name of Lily. And man, Mori thought she was so cute. Lily was both sweet and kind. Understanding the first quest Hayashi took on was difficult, but noted outside of that, the worlds of Fruits de Mer was beautiful. Lily loved this game, and all the wonderful new people it let her meet. Believing no road was long with good company, Lily offered her hand, inviting Hayashi to adventure together with her, and accepting the party request. Mori was flustered in real life. Fighting together, Lily gave Hayashi tips and guided him on how to defeat his first monster. Congratulating him on reaching level 8, she cheered him on, knowing he was now ready to head into the boss room. Facing the boss, Hayashi got beat down, but wasn't out, because Lily was in charge of healing him, and with his wounds recovered, he was able to finally defeat the boss. He then received a rare drop, a silver sword. After that, they headed to the rewards chest, where Hayashi found some bracelets and some gold. Not the highest rarity, but with Lily bringing up they could be a matching pair together, Hayashi put them on excitedly, saying, "I'll keep them equipped my whole life," even though Lily tried to talk him out of it, since he could just unequip them when he found some better drops. Hayashi was determined to hold onto them, and the two chuckled over the moment. Thanks to Lily, Mori had so much fun today. In an undersea level, Hayashi waved at Lily, joyously showing her they could hide inside the sea anemones. She was excited to join him, and inside things got a little spicy. Ooh. Mori was having the time of her life, laughing by herself in the dark and living as a neat. Snow began to fall in game, and it looks like the Christmas patch had begun. Mori chuckled to herself, having a Christmas plan of her own. Logging into the game, Lily wanted to go adventuring with Hayashi, but he constantly gave her excuses, always saying he had something else to do. Until one night, their guildmates decided to hang together at a tavern. Their leader, Kanbei, recounted how weak Hayashi was initially, getting easily killed by pufferfish, and having trouble with the game's controls. But regardless, Hayashi was thankful they accepted him into the guild. Toasting to their good times, Himeralda couldn't help but notice Lily was sitting all by herself. He went to check on her, and she was teary-eyed. This is when Lily explained that since the sea anemone incident with Hayashi, she felt like she'd play with him a lot more. But now, she feels like he's avoiding her for some reason. Himeralda brought this up with Kanbei, so Kanbei took up the task of resolving things with Hayashi. Inside of a dungeon, alone together, Kanbei prodded Hayashi on why he'd been avoiding Lily. He reminded Hayashi of the guild's policy he agreed to when he first joined. No romance allowed, which made Hayashi pretty nervous. Regardless, Kanbei didn't want any drama, and asked Hayashi to continue being a good game friend to Lily. With how kind-hearted she looks and is, she's had to deal with tons of creeps at times, even though she's just here to forget about work and things and enjoy the game. Besides, online games are a strange world where there's no telling who someone is, or what gender they really are. And of course, hearing this from Kanbei made Mori somewhat nervous. As Hayashi, she assured Kanbei that there was no need to worry. A game's a game, and the real world is separate. It was thanks to Lily he was having such a good time now anyways. So he wanted to give a rare drop he was going to earn by himself as a token of appreciation. He wanted to give her a crystal rose as a Christmas present. Then suddenly, an elephant monster burst from the ceiling and charged at the two. Sitting by herself atop a tree branch, Lily looked sad, grasping a fallen snowflake. She was surprised to see Hayashi call out to her, and he climbed up the ladder, covered in injury still, just to sit beside her. After healing him, Lily looked down, asking Hayashi if she was getting in his way. This put Mori into a sweat, wondering what was wrong. She didn't know what to say. She didn't even know how a girl felt, even though she was a girl. She banged her head, feeling now she'd never lose her virginity as a man. Wait, what? Lily nervously laughed as she told Hayashi she was just kidding. She didn't want to put him in a tight spot, but knew he must have come here for a reason. That's when Hayashi burst out to ask if she was free on Christmas, because he wanted to give her something. Lily did in fact have to work that day, but promised to come home as soon as possible. Elsewhere, we turn to 28-year-old corporate worker, Yuta Sakurai, with his senior co-worker Homare, who's inviting Yuta to drink tonight on Christmas Eve. Yuta's made some plans, however, but when Homare suspects it to be a date, Yuta denies it with a flushed face. Back at Mori's place, her stomach grumbles at the sight of an empty fridge. She decides to head to the convenience store, where the sight of couples pisses her off while she gathers a plethora of unhealthy snacks. Eager to head back home in her gremlin cave, in line for the cash register, she spots some hot ready-to-eat chicken, and her tummy won't stop grumbling. Then, at the front, both she and Yuta ask to purchase the chicken. However, hearing her stomach rumbling out loud, he politely allowed her to buy it, and she was so embarrassed afterwards, she wanted to die. That night, Lily surprised Hayashi with a hug from behind, making Mori lose it from all the cuteness. Lily presented him some dye he could use on his gear as a gift, making him really happy. And he presented her a mini rose brooch, something Lily stared in awe at. He of course wanted to get her a crystal rose, but this was all he could manage. Lily was overjoyed, since a gift like this was one that couldn't be bought. She called this year the best Christmas ever. And you'd be my best viewer ever by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. Did you know my channel is about to hit 100k subscribers soon? To celebrate, I'll be doing a countdown on live stream where we can talk and I'll play games that you'll have the chance to vote on. So hit that subscribe and join your boy live. After Hayashi and another member from the guild, Lilac defeated a boss. Lilac brought up that it was no surprise no one else from the guild was on in the middle of the day, given they're all working adults. Lilac then smirked, shifting the conversation somewhere Mori knew it was obvious to go to. Since Hayashi was always online, Lilac wondered if he was a NEET, sending him into outer space, knowing he was a complete bum at this point. Lilac then asked Hayashi if he was a university student, since she was also one, and she was glad to have someone to hang with during the day. She suspected they were the same age, 21, making Mori scoff at Lilac's youth. Knowing Lilac was job hunting this year, Hayashi took on the idea that he was also 21 and in the same boat, to avoid the embarrassment that he was actually a 30-year-old woman who lived like a goblin. However, IRL, Mori couldn't stop tearing up knowing she just lied. At the beach together, Lily brought up how she heard Hayashi was a university student, surprising him that now everyone in the guild knew. Kanbei had thought he was much older, since Hayashi came off very mature. Lilac was excited since she won a bet, so Kanbei had to hand over the 1 million gold he wagered. This is where Lily had overheard the topic. Hayashi was depressed, knowing his friends were betting on his age. But Lily was just surprised to find out he was so young. He nervously replied, asking her how old she thought he was, and she actually assumed Hayashi was a little older than her. Now though, Hayashi was a little curious as to how old Lily was. Oh whoops, she didn't mean to type what she was thinking. It was now an awkward silence that made Mori sweat. Lily stood up and replied, "So you're curious too? You want to know about the private life of someone you don't even know outside of a video game? Don't you think there are things you're better off not knowing?" This made Hayashi spam the crying emote. But Lily was just joking, although the joke broke Mori in real life. Lily was truly a sweetheart. She knows Lai had probably asked him about his age lightheartedly, but she felt it was rude to pry, and also felt betting on someone's age to be unacceptable. She then admitted she still had some interest in knowing Hayashi's age as well, and apologized. So, Lily offered to tell more about herself as long as they did it in secret. Hayashi stopped responding all of a sudden, prompting Lily to shake him. Mori then breathed a deep sigh, before replying back, "It's true." She also wanted to know more about Lily, but there were still things Hayashi was not comfortable exposing about himself. So he proposed for them to share more when they were a bit closer to each other. Lily sighed with relief, knowing now Hayashi was exactly the kind of person she thought he was. Serious and kind-hearted, leaving Mori with a vague sense of guilt. Regardless, they pinky promised to revisit the conversation when they got closer. The two continued to chat the night away, looking at the starry in-game sky together. Mori did a stretch, but panicked realizing it was 5 a.m.? As Hayashi, she frantically reminded Lily she had work today, and Lily panicked knowing she had to head to the office at 9. Welp, no point in trying to wake up from a 4-hour nap. Lily decided to stay up all night, and Hayashi joined to keep her company. As the morning sunlight dawned, Mori sneezed. Feeling cold and checking her temperature, she must have caught a cold. She decided to head out to get some medicine, and coughing along the way, Yuta, who was rushing his way to work, accidentally elbowed her face and knocked her out. She had a dream where she was surrounded by those encumbered by corporate life, heading to jump to their end. It was a life she had desperately run away from. She woke up in the infirmary to a handsome man with pretty blonde hair. She wondered if it was natural. With her sickness making her cough, Yuta woke up, and as she moved, he told her to be careful since she had an IV drip attached to her arm. She was confused about what happened, so he explained he accidentally elbowed her and apologized. Discovering she had a cold and didn't have her insurance card with her for medicine, Yuta offered to cover her for the day, and gave her his contact info, telling her she's free to contact him if she ever felt unwell, and he'd answer anytime he wasn't sleeping. Seeing his name, Mori thought it was pretty cute, and thanked him for his help. When he asked for her name, she felt hers sounded like a joke, and nervously told him, Moriko Morioka, but he didn't think much of it. That night in her room, Mori stared blushing at Yuta's contact info. In-game, she looked conflicted, so the guildmates came to chime in, making Mori so thankful for her friends. Lilac and Himeralda were excited. Hearing Hayashi's situation sounded like a setup for a romance manga plot. This certainly made Hayashi nervous, knowing he gave them the details on what happened to her, but just flipped the genders. And now they're treating it like a love story? Himeralda told Hayashi to be a man and take the girl out to dinner as thanks. Lilac said that was wrong, however, since Hayashi was a weak herbivore of a man getting a career woman older than himself. He's not good with words and doesn't say much, but if he unexpectedly lifted up her head and stared into her eyes, then she'd ask, "What is it?" And then he'd slowly inch closer to her, and it would feel like time's moving in slow motion. And that's when the woman would see how manly Hayashi is. Oh man, Lai is a delusional romantic. Kanbei was sensible though, saying it'd probably be polite for Hayashi to start with an email or give a call to say thanks first. But Lai and him thought the idea was so boring. Listening to reason, Mori went AFK to email Yuta. She was so nervous though, as it had been a long time since she last sent one. Having dinner with Homare, Yuta saw his phone get a message and began grinning, making Homare a little curious. Mori was surprised to see a reply back right away, and back in the game, he was down. He told his friends that the girl said she wanted to apologize by treating him to dinner sometime. Lai and him were certainly excited, But Mori was depressed IRL. She didn't want to because for someone as antisocial as her, even going to the convenience store was a pain. And Yuta was so cool, she felt blinded by his radiance. She lifted the cover on her mirror to see her unstyled hair, no makeup, and unkempt eyebrows. Freaking out, wondering if this could get any worse. Like they would meet one evening and he'd see how ugly she really was. Oh my gosh, she felt she needed a mosaic blur or a correction filter placed in front of his eyes. With Hayashi sitting at the secret tree spot, Lily jump scared him. It's funny because last year, she was the one sitting here depressed, but now it was Hayashi instead. Lily would often come here when feeling tired from work or having a bit of a bad day. She didn't have anyone to complain to in real life, and hated ruining the mood when everyone logged in to have a good time. So usually, she'd come up here to brood on her own. But now, they were in the same boat. And hearing Lily's words warmed Mori's heart for some reason. Lily asked Hayashi if she could vent to him here every so often, and he responded he'd keep it a secret for sure. Now, the two could rely on each other for emotional support more often. Having the encouragement she needed, Mori felt she could give Yuta a proper reply. She took a deep breath, sending her message, only to panic realizing she sent it at 2 a.m. She just can't stop embarrassing herself. Luckily, Yuta slept right through it. In the morning, Yuta woke up to his alarm, panicking seeing Mori's reply. During lunch at work, Yuta brought up how Homare used to work at Matsukaze Busan, and brought Mori's manual she had forgotten at the hospital, noticing she had also worked there. Seeing the report, Homare got excited seeing Mori's name. Judging by this manual though, Yuta could tell she was extremely competent and must have been good at her job. Yet, she had resigned for some reason. Yuta then became fixated on Homare calling her by Mori and asked how close they were. Homare explained that they weren't friends or anything, but when he called her department, oftentimes she had filled in for the person in charge. He'd have her look into some documents, and many times apologized that he'd take up her time when she sounded exhausted. She had one day freaked out, apologizing herself, saying she was trying her best to hide it, and began crying over the phone. Homare then pulled up a photo of Mori back from their old workplace records, and Yuta blushed, confirming it was really her. Homare remarked that she was pretty good looking and said maybe he should meet up with her one of these days, making Yuta drop his chopsticks. Walking home that evening, Yuta stared at his phone, sadly reading Mori's reply, which said, "As for your suggestion out to celebrate my recovery, when I consider that it was my fault for not watching where I was going and that you already paid for my medical treatment, I'm afraid I couldn't possibly trouble you any further." That night, heading to the convenience store, Mori reflected on the fact that a lot had happened. She never thought she'd get an email from a man asking to take her out to dinner to apologize. Walking inside, one of the workers, Kazuomi, couldn't take his eyes off of her, knowing she was a regular that often bought in-game currency for Fruits de Mer. Mori thought she had replied to Yuta the right way, having tried her best to be polite and sincere, and now felt completely refreshed as she picked up another game card. Having returned home, she gobbled up some beer and logged into the game, excited to have nothing else weighing on her mind. In the game, with Hayashi meeting up with one of the guildmates, he suddenly received a present from Lily, which totally shocked Mori. Inside was this really cool coat. It looked so expensive, Mori felt she had to get Lily something in return, feeling kinda bad. Hayashi thought it'd normally be the guy who's on the ball with gifting, doing her best impression IRL. She said, "I come bearing a brilliant 10 billion carat gem," and she even played Lily, uttering, Hayashi-san? And talking back as Hayashi, "I'd like you to have it as a sign of my devotion." Is that really how a man should treat a lady? Checking the price tag, Hayashi saw the coat was valued at 20 million gold. He felt if he bought her anything in return, she'd most likely already have it. His guildmate, Pokotaro, then said Lily would probably be fine with anything in return. He just needed to keep in mind whatever ulterior motives Lily might have. And hearing Lily might have ulterior motives put Mori into a panic. She wondered what those motives could be. So, to calm down, she grabbed a beer and started cleaning, but she couldn't stop thinking about it. Later, the two met at the usual treetop, and Mori was so nervous. As Hayashi, she accidentally questioned Lily's ulterior motive right away, and she did indeed have one, and wanted to tell Hayashi more about herself. Back when she had first started playing the game, she used to get so many requests to go hunting with people every day, to the point it got overwhelming. She eventually entered a guild, where the private messages only increased in intensity, and even one of the members started accusing Lily of trying to steal the guild leader from them. There was tons of unwanted drama for no reason. It was all misunderstandings, but even online, she felt it was still pretty difficult to handle social relationships. She kept having that kind of trouble. It would have been easy to just quit, but she really wanted to keep playing because she met someone really precious in a game she used to play. She doesn't get to see them anymore, but kept thinking how wonderful it would be to meet someone else like that. Hayashi could really relate. In her last game, she used to play with someone who always gave her courage. So now, he understood completely how Lily felt. Lily had always felt a little too scared to get close to anyone in-game, but then she met Hayashi, and watching him, she began to enjoy the game more. So, looking at him with an expression of longing, she changed into the outfit that matched the coat she sent him, and asked Hayashi to become her partner, making Mori flustered. Lily felt the most at peace playing with him, and this was getting really bad for Mori because her heart wouldn't stop beating. She was beyond overjoyed. She wondered if this was a crush, and how could she be thinking that in her 30s? She had to calm herself, reassuring there was nothing romantic going on here. But she was still so happy. Hayashi then put on the coat, and happily accepted their in-game partnership from this point forward. And their guildmates had been spying on them the entire time from behind a tree. But reading their chat from behind the screen was someone we're all familiar with at this point. Seeing a notice about new loot boxes with new item sets, Mori is excited to buy, although probably not that smart for her to cut into her savings. But, being an MMO addict, she convinces herself to spend. At the convenience store, Mori stares at some mushrooms, and it really reminds her of Lily, causing her to giggle to herself out loud, which freaks Kazu out a little. At the register, she tries to purchase her in-game currency, but unfortunately, the machine for it is under maintenance, so she'll need to wait 5 minutes. The two stand in an awkward silence, until Kazu brings up the game is having a bonus points campaign, making the two chuckle together. Kazu actually plays Fruits de Mer as well, and he'd been curious about Mori for a while, since she always bought game currency here. The two were really getting into a full conversation about the game, until another customer interrupted them to buy something. Heading home, Mori was concerned she had said something weird, and felt embarrassed since she wasn't wearing any makeup and looked like a total mess. However, she was finally happy to talk to someone about MMOs in real life for the first time. Logging into the game, Lai showed up with a new event outfit. Having spent tons of money for the dress with a shiny butterfly effect, Kanbei teased her a bit for spending too much, and the two bantered back and forth a bit. Hearing the idea of loot box purchases, Lily appeared suddenly from a bush. She wanted to do pulls with them, so Mori dramatically pulled out her web money card, and opening her first loot boxes, she got the amazing prize of basic potions. Seeing Hayashi always gave it his all, and made a partnership with Lily, Lai couldn't stop looking at him. She was saddened, feeling as soon as you want something, it slips out of reach. Eventually, Hayashi got 2 of the top pulls, and Lily got everything. Pokotaru asked what would have happened if she didn't pull what she wanted, to which Lily responded that would have never happened, because she's the type to spend until she gets what she wants. Later, the crew dungeoned together, and Lai was wearing a different outfit from the one she had gotten from the event. She thought back to Kanbei telling her he liked what she normally wore, and this had made her blush. We turn to Yuta and Homare eating out together again, and Yuta sighs, wondering how he could see Mori again. Homare pokes at him, clearly able to tell Yuta's fallen for her, but Yuta assures him he's got it all wrong. So, Homare brings up the fact that Yuta is more fidgety at work and continually checks his phone more often for messages, and after she turned him down for dinner, he was pretty in the dumps about it, wondering where he'd gone wrong. And recently, hoping he'd run into her again, he's been visiting the convenience store at different hours. Yuta slammed the table, asking Homare to stop, because he was beginning to sound like a stalker. But this would in fact 100% be stalking. However, Yuta still wanted to find another reason to email her, so Homare decided to help out by making his stalker debut at the usual convenience store. Having spent a while inside buying things, he decided to head out, where he opened the door for a woman, whom he noticed was well endowed. He thought they were more than a handful for sure. More and Mori-Mori-chan? He went back inside and just stared at her, making her freak out a little. He began making small talk and she wondered why he was talking to her. Then, he eventually asked if she was Moriko Morioka, and she remembered him on their calls at work when she was wiping her tears. She was happy to finally meet Homari in person, but certainly embarrassed when he asked what she was up to these days. Homari wasn't going to let this opportunity go, however. He quickly asked to go out for drinks sometime, and she felt she couldn't refuse now that he knew she was unemployed. He said it'd be his treat, and if she was busy this week, they could do next week instead, cutting off any out she had. The next day at work, Homari teased Yuta with Mori's contact info, saying she said she'd go on a date with him, breaking Yuta a little inside. In-game, Lily sat depressed while fishing by herself until Hayashi showed up asking for advice, because Mori really needed it. At the treetop, Mori basically explained everything that happened between her and Yuta, but switched the genders, and now admitted feeling overwhelmed that she was going out to drink with Homari. This caused the person behind Lily's screen to lift their hands with hesitation. Yuta couldn't believe Hayashi could actually be Mori, but thinking about everything he just heard, it was exactly all the events that transpired with just the genders swapped. From being elbowed to having the IV, to meeting an old coworker at a convenience store, everything sounded exactly the same as what happened to Mori, but just with the genders flipped. However, Yuta thought there was no way. Coincidences like that don't happen. During lunch, Homari continues to brag about his upcoming date with Mori. Yuta was surprised she agreed to it, but knew Homari most likely forced her into it, given his personality. Homari was still friendly though. He told Yuta he could see her too if he came along. Yuta certainly yearned to talk more with Mori, but felt he'd just be third-wheeling. However, to Homari, this was all a joke. Yuta was the whole reason he set this up in the first place. At the convenience store, Mori had to pick up some new stockings, since she had thrown out all of her old ones. She didn't want to look like a wreck in front of Homari, but now, she was beginning to worry about her messy hair and clothes. She had a stretched out scrunchie, and even wore sportswear she had back in high school. At the register, Moriko and Kazu began chatting more about the game they both played, but she was shocked to learn his character name. Back in the game, Mori hid in a bush, feeling her online life was totally over. Lai found Hayashi, and wanting to cheer him up, she sat in the bush alongside him. She was pumped because pretty soon, she was going to go questing with one of her IRL friends who went to the same university as her. She was so surprised her friend pretended to be a guy in-game, feeling she could relate. Mori asked Lai if that surprised her, like in a creepy or weird way. Then, Kanbei appeared, telling the two they shouldn't be talking about this in the public chat where everyone could read, making Hayashi nervous. As Kanbei mentioned, there are people who freak out when a guy plays a girl online or vice versa, but Lai wasn't that kind of person. After Lai left to go questing, Kanbei kept saying Mori's real name in chat, so she asked him to stop. Kanbei had thought for a while that Hayashi sounded strangely mature and always avoided topics involving his real life. It all made sense now that she was a neat girl playing a guy character online in her 30s. Mori apologized to him for lying, especially with all that Kanbei had done for her. Revealing Kanbei as Kazuomi on the other side, he was fine with it, since everyone enjoys the game in their own way, and he thought of Mori as a good person who meant well, putting Mori into tears of happiness. Kanbei then asked if Lily knew Hayashi's secret, but he hadn't told her yet. Hayashi felt maybe he should, since if she knew he was a woman, maybe she'd feel relieved. Kanbei felt there was no need to, since everyone had lies and secrets playing MMOs. He then warned Mori not to ask for too much real-life advice from Lily. Later, looking at her mirror, Mori was stunned to see her horrid eye bags. She plopped onto her bed, wondering what kind of clothes she should wear to go out for drinks. She wanted to ask Lily for advice, but remembered Kanbei's words. She decided to ask anyway, saying their hangout was tomorrow. But Yuta remembered Homari was supposed to be on a business trip in Osaka tomorrow. This led Yuta to believe Hayashi maybe wasn't Mori after all. Then, Kanbei entered the conversation. To circumvent the idea that Hayashi was secretly a girl, Kanbei flipped it to ask how Lily would dress up for a drinking date. So, Mori took note of it. She went to the hairstylist, and remembering how Kanbei thought short was best, and Lily thought long was best, she decided to take the middle ground and get a medium-length cut. Spending 5,500 yen, she knew her cut was valued at 11 loot boxes. Then, she bought a new outfit and some makeup. At work, Yuta was concerned, confirming for sure that Homari's date with Mori wasn't tonight, but instead tomorrow. And later that night, Mori showed up to the planned meeting spot a little early. While Yuta played Fruits de Mer, he kept thinking how coincidences about the events that have transpired shouldn't be happening this often. He suddenly logged off the game before entering a dungeon, and hurried his way to where Homari said he'd meet Mori. It had reached an hour past the meeting time, and Yuta showed up, out of breath from running. He spotted Mori looking cute and disheartened from being stood up. She had begun walking away, so he ran after and called out to her. She turned, surprised to see Yuta, and noticing she was getting a call from Homari, Yuta explained Homari was his senior co-worker. Picking up Homari's call, Mori was shocked to hear their night out was supposed to be tomorrow. Being a NEET, she completely lost track of the days of the week. When Yuta was there, Homari asked to be put on speakerphone to talk to him, where he said, "Hey Yuta, Mori is totally cute right now, isn't she?" Making her freak out, asking Homari why he'd say that. She was so embarrassed, feeling there was nothing cute about herself. But then, Yuta kneeled in front of her to say she looked very cute. So cute, in fact, he was grateful Homari wasn't around to see her. Handing her phone back, he told her to have more confidence in herself, and then burst out saying, she was totally Homari's type for sure. Bro, what are you doing? In private, Homari told Mori to enjoy the night with Yuta, as a warm-up for their hangout tomorrow. She was nervous, but ended up agreeing to it. The two then went out for drinks, and Mori wondered what he was doing at the station today. Maybe he had heard about her hangout with Homari, but still, why would he have been here today if that wasn't their scheduled hangout date? Yuta apologized, knowing Mori had got dressed up for Homari, but got him instead. However, she didn't feel that way at all. She then asked about how he knew she'd be here, but he couldn't explain he had heard about it from Hayashi in-game, so he made up a good excuse, saying he just happened to see her on his way home from work. Later that night, at the convenience store, Yuta brought some water and looked at the chicken, remembering his first time meeting Mori. He went back to the car to bring her the water. Since she was still in a daze from drinking, she apologized for the chicken, the hospital, declining his invitation, and being a mess tonight as well. She felt bad he only got to see the embarrassing sides of her. Yuta told her not to worry, and asked her to humor him by walking together until she was fully sobered up, and the two blushed at each other. Taking that walk together, Mori at first apologized for troubling him, but then realized that wasn't right, so she thanked him for everything. Yuta smiled, telling her she was a serious and kind-hearted person, and she wondered where she'd heard that before. She felt she hadn't done anything to deserve that kind of praise, but it was honestly how he felt. Looking down, she admitted she was a little jealous. If she had worked at a place with senior co-workers like Homari and Yuta, she felt maybe she could have enjoyed her job more. Yuta agreed, adding that Homari spent all his time teasing people and joking around, but also seriously considered how Yuta felt about things and supported him. But he didn't want Mori to tell Homari he said that, since it'd probably go to his head. Mori laughed, saying she was now looking forward to her night with Homari tomorrow. She kept wondering if he'd like her haircut, or if she'd even be able to talk to him properly. She was worried about all sorts of things. But after hearing all the nice things from Yuta about him, she could now tell he was exactly the man she thought Homari was. After saying she had a great time hanging out with Yuta tonight, he said the feeling was mutual, and wished her good luck tomorrow, in a way that made his pain feel palpable. Later that night, Homari was surprised to hear Yuta wasn't going to tag along for his hangout with Mori tomorrow night. The next day, certainly looking depressed in-game and in person, Yuta wondered if he gave Mori the push she needed. He felt Mori had no reason to see him anymore, and his turn on the stage was over. Moving their hangout to an earlier time, Homari surprised Mori with a souvenir from Osaka, and calling her cute, she got flustered, telling Homari not to tease her. Walking their way to the restaurant Homari made reservations at, he moved towards the roadside out of courtesy. Mori didn't have a lot of experience in this kind of thing, but felt she was really being escorted, and remembered Yuta had done the same thing for her. Inside the restaurant, Homari mentioned there's no way Yuta showing up yesterday was a coincidence. It definitely had to be the power of love. Mori told him to stop teasing, since she was already 30. She felt like an old maid. She didn't believe someone like Yuta would even give her a second glance. However, Homari assured Mori that Yuta saw her as a fine woman. The two spent their time together, mostly talking about how great Yuta actually was. Homari then learned about Mori's MMO obsession, and how she really enjoyed the game because it let her build friendships with strangers online. She even admitted they gave her advice on her hair. Hearing this made Homari laugh, but looking at her more straight on, He told her she looked lovely, not just her hair, but how more upbeat she sounded now than back in the day over the phone. He felt relieved she was having fun these days. Homari then decided to take a trip to the restroom, and by herself, even though she felt he was just being polite to her. His words still made her heart flutter. However, her vision became a bit blurry. When Homari came back, he found her passed out. Back in the game, Lily's focus was rough, as she suffered a lot of damage from the last dungeon. It was no use. Yuta couldn't concentrate at all. He then saw his phone vibrating, and inside was a picture from Homari with Mori passed out. It read, "Look at her face. She's completely defenseless. I won't get in any trouble if I try something with her like this, right?" And man, was Yuta shocked. He quickly logged out and rushed over to Homari's place, where Homari just laughed because he had actually dropped Mori off and was just joking. Yuta figured that was the case, but dropped by just in case. He told Homari whatever happened between him and Mori was none of his business. But Homari could tell that was all talk, since sweat was dripping down Yuta's skin. It was clear he had rushed here at full speed. Back at her place, Mori crashed on her bed, but realized she had to get up to clean off her makeup. She felt like she had used all of her luck with handsome men over the course of the last 2 days. She felt like it was a once-in-a-lifetime event. But between the two men's sweet words, her heart still raced. Sitting at her desk, she knew this was definitely her most relaxing position of all, being a total NEET. Nothing made her feel more at home than playing an MMO, and seeing Lily rush her way, she thanked her for all the advice. The other day, Yuta had suddenly logged off the game with no explanation, making his friends worry. That would normally be enough to weigh Yuta's heart down, but the only thing he could think of now was how he no longer had the courage to see Mori in-game and hear what she had to say about Homari. He felt strange. Lily was supposed to be carefree. Yuta had always logged on during the day on Sunday, and Mori said that made her happy. He had a lot of fun doting on Hayashi as Lily. He hadn't played with a newbie in a long time. He thought Hayashi was so cute and modest and was always so earnest when he spoke. The first time Hayashi had found Lily sitting by herself on the tree, Yuta had begun to feel things she got in-game, feelings he wanted to return in-game. He was so moved back then, he wanted to keep that experience. Hayashi had seemed to devote himself to Lily, and she wanted to do the same for him. Yuta knew he was probably getting too involved, and if he hadn't found out the truth, maybe things could have stayed that way forever. Yet, the more he learned about Hayashi and Mori, the more he felt his maybe would turn into a yes to them being together. He didn't know where to go from here, but he knew one thing for certain: he missed her. It had been days, so Mori was happy to finally see Lily had logged in. Today, Lily was going to go through her storage, and with Hayashi saying he was excited to see her avatar collection, Yuta blushed for real. That night, with Yuta and Mori playing alone together, Yuta braced himself knowing Mori was for sure going to talk about her time out with Homari. He gripped his shirt, because he couldn't stop thinking about how he was going to hear the worst case, that she might have fallen in love with his coworker. Hayashi thanked Lily for all the advice she gave him the other day, and with him saying he wanted to talk about what happened, Lily responded, "Of course," with an air of hesitation. Hearing Hayashi retell everything Yuta already knew, Yuta resolved himself not to get involved with Mori in real life any further, but he wasn't expecting Mori to praise the glasses person the entire time, not even really mentioning Homari much at all. She even mentioned that person reminded her of Lily, and how that made her really happy. Yuta's heart could barely take it. He felt like he shouldn't be listening to her praises as himself, but he couldn't help himself being happy. On another weekend, Homari decided he wanted to try out Fruits de Mer. He called Yuta at first, but unfortunately, Yuta was working this weekend, so he decided to get Mori to help him out instead. Mori was excited to have another person she knew play the game with her, but then realized it might be weird if she was playing as a guy character. So, she decided to make a character who looked just like the one from the last MMO she played. Meeting up with Homari, she was shocked he was actually playing a buff chick with the username Harumi. After Yuta returned home from work, he learned that Homari and Mori were already playing the game together, and seeing the image of Mori's new character, he felt something was strange. She looked like a character he'd known for a long time. Making a new male character so Mori wouldn't get suspicious, he thought back to when he had first gotten into Fruits de Mer. He was originally looking for an MMO where he could be someone else. He enjoyed getting all sorts of outfits for a girl character too, and enjoyed the anonymity he found. He thought back to the last game he played, where the friend he was close to just wanted to quit her real-life job so badly. There were a lot of characters with the same eye and hair color as hers, but for some reason, He felt like Mori's new character really reminded him of that old friend. He thought no way this daydream could possibly be reality. We turn back to Yuta, once again looking at the new character Mori created. He knows he's seen this character before. He's known this character for a long time. Thinking about her, he felt heavy-hearted. He knew her when he was younger and less happier than he is now. As far as he could remember, he was a member of the Sakurai family, having been adopted at a young age. Didn't know a thing about his real parents, and often suffered because of how people treated him for his hair color. His parents were elderly, but precious to him. One day, they passed away, leaving him to inherit the family property. A few months had passed and he gave up his old home to move into a more reasonable-sized place, partly because he couldn't maintain it, given the size of his old home, but mostly because the big, empty house made him feel lonely. After moving, he really got into MMOs to ease his loneliness from losing his family, and in the game of non-SG, he eventually met Yuki, a new player he could show the ropes to. With Yuta playing as Hearth, he grew to love Yuki, who always gave everything her all. Cheering her on was something he looked forward to. Yuki had a full-time job and was often busy with work. She really only logged in on the weekends. She struggled with life at work, however, but regardless, kept her words positive, and this always cheered Yuta up. The last time he saw her was the day she got fired up about her job, and she had told him she wanted to get everything done. After that, he never saw her in-game again. Yuta didn't know what he was going for, making this new character exactly like the one from non-SG, but he was hopeful Mori was Yuki. With Yuta joining the game as Hearth, Mori thought his character was pretty cool, but she definitely reacted like someone who's never met this character before, convincing Yuta she wasn't Yuki. However, later that evening, she kept staring at his username, embarrassed because she had no idea how to pronounce things in English. Would it be Harsu? Hersu? She tried to spark up light conversation about gaming, and was excited to learn Yuta was into MMOs. She wanted to know what other ones he played in the past. Yuta revealed he used to play non-SG, taking Mori somewhat aback. She then asked how to pronounce his name, and after learning he was Hearth, all her memories from that game came flooding back. Yuki was in fact the name of her old character, and she used to play with Hearth all the time. She thought back to him telling her, "I'm happy doing anything as long as I can play with you," and this made her steamy with emotion. Back then, she really felt love for Hearth, but her own character Yuki was far more social than herself in real life, and always optimistic. The two made it back to the rest of the group, where Mori missed her opportunity to ask if Yuta was also Hearth from non-SG. Because he quickly logged off, she sat in her chair, remembering Hearth was also younger than her, just like Yuta. And back when she played the other game, he was a student at the time. She had to know if it was really him, so she reached for her phone, and Yuta picked it up after his shower. She then asked if he knew a character named Yuki from non-SG, and he did. Hearing this was so mind-blowing, Yuki fell on her bed. She began her giggly pillow talk, telling him she had so much fun back then, and even though the game was gone, she was happy they could play together again. Yuta felt he needed to tell her about Lily. He didn't want to keep hiding things, but wondered how Mori would feel. Things were silent, but Mori was so excited she was rolling all over her bed. The two were both red. Feeling a meeting like this was like a dream. Mori wasn't sure if it was her phone that was warm right now, or her. Maybe it was because she was talking too much. In a more serious tone, she asked Yuta if he felt let down, knowing she was Yuki, because of how different she and Yuki's personalities were. She wanted Hearth to think only highly of her, and did a lot for appearance's sake back then, only to now fully embrace being a NEET. Yuta interrupted her, saying he never once thought she was pathetic. Even when she was Yuki, she always put her best efforts forward. He felt he himself was the one here truly dishonest about who he was online. With nervousness in his heart, he told her he was Lily. But, surprised he heard no response, only to find out his phone died. No! Even with the call ended, Mori stared at her phone, with his kind words ringing in her mind. So she sent him a message. At work, seeing Mori's last message saying she'd love to talk more about MMOs with him again, he was disappointed knowing she for sure didn't hear him admit he was Lily. That night, walking home from the convenience store, he came across Mori. He told her he thought it'd be nice to see her again, getting her flustered. She felt embarrassed, thinking there's no way he'd want to see her with no makeup and in leisurely wear. Then, her stomach rumbled out loud, so now she felt she'd die of embarrassment. Luckily, he had snacks with him. The two sat at a bench, and Mori thanked Yuta for the food, and for letting her borrow his coat and scarf. As she started munching, Yuta was reminded of the time her stomach rumbled during Christmas Eve last year. Mori grew further in embarrassment, thinking he only saw her at her bad times. However, Yuta only saw her as someone serious and kind-hearted. Mori responded he was the second person to say that to her, and that the other person online named Lily would also often cheer her up. Mori thought of Lily as a cute young lady with a better head on her shoulders than herself, but wondered why she was telling Yuta all of this. Perhaps because he reminded her of Lily a lot. She then suggested the next time she logs in with her main, she wanted to introduce Yuta to Lily when she had the chance. However, Yuta cut off Mori's excited talk to tell her that would be impossible. At first, this discouraged Mori, thinking maybe Yuta was too busy with work to play with her. But he quickly dispelled that idea, admitting to her that he was Lily. Realizing the truth of Yuta's words, Mori's brain broke. There was so much for her to process. Like, how did he know she was Hayashi? Yuta tried to apologize for deceiving her, but Mori just sat completely frozen. Then, frantically began moving, explaining her head's CPU was overloading. Yuta then admitted he knew she was Hayashi when he found her that night she first mixed up her meeting with Homare. He felt remorse, but Mori assured him it was fine. She began to wonder what she would have done in his position. Would she have rushed to him like he did for her? But quickly concluded she probably wouldn't have. With her insecurities heavy, she would have been worried about damaging their relationship if she told him the truth. Yuta then told Mori how happy he was playing with Hayashi, and thanked her for always spending time with him. But now, he was ready to quit Fruits de Mer. He feels he's made things awkward now. However, Mori got up quickly to tell him that wasn't true at all. Yeah, she was embarrassed she asked for Lily's advice, not knowing it was secretly him, but was grateful Yuta had always been looking out for her, and understood part of the blame for why it was so hard for him to tell her the truth was on herself. She then apologized for not telling Yuta she was a girl. Then they both started bowing and apologizing back and forth at each other. Mori didn't want him to disappear, because Lily and Hayashi were partners, so she wanted both of them to keep being good online friends. Yuta agreed to it and told her he looked forward to playing with her again, but walking home that night, his heart was doubtful. He took wanting to keep being friends as rejection. Days passed, and Mori felt empty, no longer playing with her partner. Yuta hadn't even logged in at all. She felt it was too hard to send him an email or call him. She enjoyed playing the MMO still, but felt lonely. Her friends in-game tried to console her, but given the circumstances, she felt there was no way she could ask them for advice. And drinking all the time with Homare, Yuta's depression was evident as well. Homare teased him as usual, but after learning Mori was the cause, he decided to do something for them. Knocked out at her desk, Mori's phone vibrating jump-scared her into falling off. She wondered if it was Yuta, but was surprised to see it was Homare who said he wanted to meet up tomorrow at the park to talk about something. Yuta woke up the next day with a hangover, and found a note from Homare that told him to go to the park as soon as he woke up. And arriving at the spot, Yuta and Mori were shocked to see each other. They quickly realized this was a setup from Homare. The two sat blushing with an awkward silence. Mori wondered if she looked weird, and wished she had dressed up a little more. So luckily, her rumbling stomach kicked in to embarrass her, making the two break into laughter. Knowing she was the hungry type, Yuta suggested they get something light to eat. Inside the convenience store, as the two were picking something to eat, the store manager came by. The manager had never seen the two together, and wondered if Mori was Yuta's girlfriend. Mori denied this, however, and quickly ran out of the store, prompting Yuta to chase after her. Mori saw this interaction differently than reality. Her insecurities made her think the manager meant there was no way Yuta would ever date a slob neat like herself. When Yuta arrived, she apologized for embarrassing Yuta with her ugly looks. She really thought she wasn't good enough to be with someone like him. However, Yuta didn't feel that way at all. Hearing that put tears in Mori's eyes. But then it started to rain, so Yuta covered her and invited Mori back to his place. They both entered flush red, wondering what to do next. Mori showered up, but looking at the mirror, she questioned what she was doing here. She smiled, putting on the clothing Yuta left out for her. While boiling water, Yuta thought about what he should say to Mori. If he was Lily, he'd tell Hayashi to cheer up and play. Mori then came out wearing his clothes, and he gushed, seeing how cute she was. He then set down drinks for the two of them, and seeing something nice about her in the oversized clothing, his heart began to race, praising himself for choosing the oversized hoodie. But Mori could tell he was staring. The two then went through a comedic time sitting on and off the couch together. They were both so polite. Mori then noticed Yuta's PC and reminisced, knowing it was also Lily's computer. She got embarrassed talking about the game, but it was her salvation. She was truly touched. So, Yuta offered to show her the game on his side, making her light up. Mori logged into the game as Lily, and she could feel the sparks with the two of them being so close to each other. She needed to calm herself. Nope, no good. Her heart was pounding. Yuta then got so close, their heads touched and they both nervously shuddered back. This was the pinnacle of shy, introverted gamer love, which was interrupted by Mori's stomach rumbling again. So, the two decided to cook something together, with Yuta unable to stop staring at her from the side. The two enjoyed spaghetti together, and now Mori was embarrassed she scarfed it down so quickly. She wondered how a person feeling so down earlier could eat like this. The two then cleaned the dishes together, where Mori admitted some of her insecurities from earlier in the day. Yuta told her she looks down on herself too much, and explained the people around her valued her more highly than she thinks they do. He admitted that both as Lily and Yuta, he was so glad to have met her. Mori began shedding tears uncontrollably. Yuta tried looking for something to wipe them with, but unable to find anything, he used his sleeve. She didn't mean to cry, but thinking about when she quit her job and became a NEET, a part of herself felt guilty for everything. She wondered if it was really okay for her to live like this. But with Yuta telling her he was happy they met, her chest tightened. It was as if she was both light and heavy at the same time. She was filled with so many emotions, she couldn't express them properly. She couldn't stop her tears from flowing, but there was one thing she was sure of. Yuta's words made her feel so very happy. After the rain cleared, the two walked back to her home together, and seeing each other off, Yuta told Mori he wanted another day like today. Whether it'd be between Yuki and Hearth, Hayashi and Lily, or Moriko and Yuta, Mori's feelings were mutual. Back in the game, the two were closer than ever, as they enjoyed looking at the moon together in game and in real life. On another day, Hamade found Mori out in the town because he heard she was going on a date with Yuta. Yuta and Mori were both flustered, especially since Yuta never told him it was a date. However, Hamade knew they were seeing a movie, then going out for dinner together. What was it then? Hamade then whispered that Yuta should be sure to get a nice hotel room, causing Yuta to shout at him to stop playing around. The two then headed out on their date, where Mori almost tripped because of her heel, and luckily, Yuta caught her. Now holding hands together, the two headed out on their date like a proper couple. On another day, Yuta helped bring Mori's new PC into her place. She very shyly admitted him in, where the night prior, she felt compelled to clean up her dirty, disgusting room. Exhausted from all the cleaning, she stared at the bed and started huffing over the possible naughty time. Woohoo! She tried to reorganize it in different ways that felt so wrong. She rolled over in agony until she put it back to its most natural position. Yuta started putting the PC together that he actually custom picked the parts for. Mori got lost, staring at his handsome backside in a trance, and accidentally overpoured the tea until it spilled on the ground. Yuta wanted to help, but he tripped on the chair, falling over Mori in a spicy position. They looked at each other, uttering one another's name, until the doorbell rang where some soliciting freaks ruined the moment. Yuta was panting, thinking that was a little too close. Now that the PC was fully built, it was ready for gaming, and Yuta was smart enough to bring his laptop so he could play here as well. Having both logged in, Mori could see Lily was extra pretty because of the graphical upgrade from the new PC. After handling a tough dungeon, they decided to let each other's characters relax in a hot spring. Yuta then brought up how he thought a hot spring trip sounded good, and with Mori quickly blushing after she agreed, Yuta did the same. Mori started wondering if he was really inviting her. She's so glad she cleaned her bath. Wait, her bathtub is a little small. The two couldn't stop shaking, and somehow, Yuta ended up inviting her to a hot spring for real. Then, Mori's mind blew after Yuta suggested they could stay the night there. But that's where this story ends for now. Do you think you could fall in love with someone the same way they did? Ladies, would you like someone like Yuta? My fellas, would you like someone like Morioka? Let me know in the comments. Watch this next video. It's me, ComfyTea. I'll see you all in the next one.